So if you wanted to teach an extraterrestrial how to survive on Earth, you probably wouldn't give them a physics textbook.
No, definitely not.
Right. You'd probably want to hand them a beginner's English language guide.
Wait, a language guide?
Yeah. Because, hidden inside these really basic grammar exercises, like about ordering pizza or fixing a leaky shower head, is this complete, incredibly anxious blueprint for modern human survival.
That sounds like a bizarre place to look for sociological insights, honestly. But, you're touching on something really profound there.
I think so, yeah.
Because to teach a language effectively, the authors actually have to distill human life down into its most universal, recognizable components.
Exactly, which means we are diving into a very unique stack of sources today.
Oh, I'm ready.
We're looking at a collection of everyday English conversation transcripts. These are from materials designed for language learners, specifically sources like Easy English and English for Beginner. And our mission in this deep dive isn't to, evaluate the grammar or the vocabulary. We are treating these transcripts as an accidental masterclass in human behavior.
I love that approach.
Yeah, we're going to extract the core anxieties and the relentless problem-solving strategies that are just embedded in these scenarios. Because it turns out the underlying human drama of fending off a burglar is surprisingly similar to the drama of dealing with a picky eater.
They really are. They both require threat assessment, boundary setting, and just a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
Yeah. What these transcripts inadvertently create is a highly concentrated map of our daily stressors. It kind of strips away the nuance of our personal lives and just leaves the raw mechanics of how we function inside a home.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with those mechanics, and specifically the most primal domestic anxiety found in the sources.
Keeping the outside world out.
Yes. The instinct to turn the home into an absolute fortress. What blew my mind looking at these texts is how they contrast two completely different approaches to a security threat. We get to see how adults proactively plan for danger, and then, in a separate scenario, how kids react when a threat actually breaches the walls.
The juxtaposition is brilliant.
Right.
If we analyze the adult scenario first, it's entirely driven by the hypothetical. There's this underlying neighborhood panic because local burglaries are spiking.
Right. The text notes that several cars nearby have recently been ripped off.
Exactly. So the adults sit down and attempt to base this massive psychological deterrence field.
They are basically planning a military compound at this point.
Pretty much.
They discuss installing a heavy security door, and they specifically want a burglar alarm because, as they note in their planning, burglars hate noise.
Yes, the theory is that even a small, high-pitched alarm sends them running. But notice how the defense mechanism is largely theatrical. Like, they want security cameras primarily to signal that someone is watching, right? To force an intruder to second-guess their target.
The optics of security.
Exactly. They plan for exterior lights, motion detectors, and they even recognize that windows are the most common vulnerability, so they mandate simple window locks.
It's a layered defense. It's like a good home security system operates like a physical immune system. It needs multiple cascading layers to work.
Right. If the lights don't deter them, the camera does.
And if the camera fails, the window lock holds. But here is where I have to push back on this whole adult master plan.
Okay, lay it on me.
Because the very next scenario we look at proves that all of this high-tech, proactive fortress planning is completely useless against the ultimate vulnerability.
The Trojan horse.
A Trojan horse made of tomatoes and sausages.
Oh, the pizza.
Yes. We get a scenario with two kids, Tom and Anna, and they've been left home alone. Now, presumably, they were told the golden rule.
Keep the doors locked.
Right. But a pizza delivery arrives. The kids are thrilled. They take the pizza into the living room. They get distracted by eating it, and they completely forget to lock the deadbolt after the delivery guy leaves.
Wow. So the entire multi-layered security perimeter just collapses because of a momentary lapse in attention.
Exactly.
Which is really the truest thing about home security. You can have motion sensors and cameras, but human convenience almost always overrules security protocol.
Every time. So a thief just waltzes right in through the unlocked door. And his internal monologue is fascinating here.
How so?
Well, he's walking around hunting for valuables and cash, sure. But he is equally excited about finding snacks and juice.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he literally notes that he won't have to go to the grocery store tomorrow because this house has so much food.
That is a remarkably mundane detail for a home invasion.
Isn't it?
But it humanizes the threat in a weird way. He's not some cinematic movie villain. He's just a guy trying to save a trip to the supermarket while he steals your cash.
But here's the kicker. The kids don't spot him on one of those high-tech cameras the adults were obsessing over.
No.
No. They realize they aren't alone because they spot muddy shoe prints on a freshly cleaned floor.
Ah.
And they specifically deduce that the prints can't belong to their dad because their mom had just cleaned the floor before leaving.
Oh, that's a brilliant piece of spatial awareness. The kids are actively reading their physical environment.
Right. And Tom, the boy, decides to go full Home Alone. He sets a physical trap upstairs.
Yeah.
Which the thief actually steps on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Anna does the modern thing and just calls the police.
And this leads to a really critical moment of societal messaging embedded in this language lesson.
Yeah, Officer Sam arrives.
Right. Officer Sam arrives, arrests the thief, and returns the stolen bag, which is full of snacks, jewelry, and money.
But he doesn't throw a parade for Tom's trap.
Far from it. Officer Sam praises Anna for calling the authorities, but he explicitly warns the kids that setting traps is unsafe.
Right, because they could get hurt.
Exactly. He highlights that they could have easily gotten hurt or caught by the intruder. He demands they ensure a situation like this doesn't happen again. The language text is subtly enforcing a modern societal rule. Do not take physical risks.
You delegate your safety to the institution.
Precisely. The hero of a modern domestic crisis isn't the vigilante kid, it's the kid who dials the emergency number.
You know, you might be listening to this thinking, well, obviously you call the police. But it's a profound shift from the instinct to physically defend your space. Finish their food. Period. We build these theoretical fortresses
But the other
with
parent
cameras and
pushes
lights
for engagement
But survival
over
actually
enforcement.
comes down to noticing
They
the mud
argue
on
that
the
mealtime
floor
should be fun.
and outsourcing the
Their
confrontation
solution
to a
is to bring the
professional.
5-year-old
But here's
into
the
the
flaw
kitchen
in that whole
to
fortress
actively
mentality.
help prepare the food.
You can lock the
And
deadbolt
the
and keep
transcript
the
gets
burglar
very
out,
specific
sure.
about what a 5-year-old's
But what happens
capabilities
when
are
the
in the
threat
kitchen.
is already
Highly
inside the walls?
specific.
Like when the house
They
itself
suggest
starts
having
breaking
her
down.
pour
Oh,
liquids
then you
into
transition
batter,
from guarding the
measure
perimeter
and
to
mix
managing.
ingredients.
Wash the fruits and vegetables, and even handle putting scraps in the trash.
That's actually a lot of responsibility.
The underlying argument is that this labor develops critical life skills. And they even throw in a progressive note explicitly stating that little boys should be given a try in the kitchen too.
Really?
Yeah, challenging traditional gender roles right in the middle of a vocabulary lesson.
I love that. Parenting in these scenarios operates kind of like a thermostat.
How so?
Well, if the strict parent wants to set a hard and flexible temperature like finish your food, no exceptions, it's about compliance. But the other parent is trying to adjust the ambient climate. They want to make the kitchen interactive so the kid actually wants to eat. It's compliance versus intrinsic motivation.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
But that friction over autonomy reaches an absolute boiling point when we look at the teenager in the sources.
Oh boy.
We have a high school senior who wants to get a part-time job so he can buy his own car. The dad completely, unequivocally refuses.
And his reasoning is entirely rooted in his own unresolved history, isn't it?
Yes. The dad unpacks this deeply personal regret. He tells his son that he got his driver's license at 17 and he worked a part-time job to buy his own car at 20.
Okay, sounds normal so far.
But he paid a massive life-altering price. He spent so much time chasing the money for the car that his grades completely tanked.
Oh no.
He barely graduated, he missed out on going to college, and he carries that regret heavily. So he insists the teenager must focus solely on getting good grades for college admission. I really want to know your take on this. Is this dad actually protecting his teenager, or is he just projecting his own past academic failures onto his kid?
I mean, it's a profound look at generational trauma on a micro scale.
Yeah.
The father views a part-time job not as an opportunity for character building or financial literacy, but as the exact trap that ruined his own trajectory. He is trying to edit his own past by controlling his son's present.
That's deep.
But what's really fascinating here is the recurring theme of financial pressure. Whether it's Frank losing sleep over his mortgage, or this dad terrified of the economic trade-off of buying a car at 20 money, or the lack of it, is the invisible hand shaping every rule and stressor within the family unit.
It really is. So let's just look at the state of things for a second. We have a household fending off burglars and setting traps. They are suffering through power outages. They are stressed about mortgages, fighting over whether a 5-year-old can leave the table, and projecting past trauma onto teenagers who just want a job.
It sounds exhausting.
It sounds like the fortress is constantly on the verge of collapsing. But here's where it gets really interesting. After all of that chaos, What actually brings the household back together? What acts as the ultimate domestic glue?
It always comes back to the ritual of food.
Always. Food is not just caloric fuel in these transcripts. It's the peacemaker. It is how these people survive each other. Take the scenario of trying to impress the in-laws. It begins with an absolute frantic scramble. The couple has to clean a messy living room, clear out a clogged wash basin in the bathroom, and somehow get the laundry done.
They're curating the fortress for external inspection.
Exactly.
The vulnerability of having your parents judge your domestic competency is universally terrifying.
The husband is even tasked with hanging a picture, and the wife is micromanaging him. The text specifically has her saying, lift it a bit on the left.
Oh, you can feel the stress.
The tension is palpable. But then the parents, Andrew and Kathy, arrive. And what resolves that tension? The reward for all that frantic stress is a highly specific meal.
It's on the menu.
They sit down to garlic pork chops, fried rice, and a homemade cherry cake. And the wife subtly notes that this was all cooked in a kitchen that is frankly too small for two people to fit in.
See, that detail about the small kitchen is crucial.
Why do you say that?
Because it highlights the physical constraints and the sacrifice required to produce this expression of care. The meal isn't effortless. It's a hard-won victory over their environment.
Yeah, that's spot on. And we see that same demanding expression of care in the baking scenario.
Oh, the apple pie.
Right. A mother and child are baking grandma's favorite apple pie. And again, the precision in the text is staggering. You don't just chop some apples. The transcript dictates you need exactly 6 apples, diced.
Very precise.
And the sauce is like a chemistry experiment. You mix butter, flour, sugar, water, and cinnamon, and you have to simmer it for exactly 3 to 4 minutes before mixing it with the apples. Then you bake the crust for 15 minutes.
It is an act of devotion translated into a rigid recipe. The text explicitly states that Grandma loves the pie, specifically because she knows they put, quote, much love and care into the process. The time spent simmering the sauce is the tangible measurement of their affection.
But the kitchen isn't just a place for showing affection. It's a classroom for survival.
What do you mean?
Because right in the middle of this loving baking session, the mother stops to teach a very strict, uncompromising rule about knife safety.
Oh, right.
She instructs her child, when you hand a knife to someone, always make sure that the handle of the knife is pointed toward the person to whom you are handing the knife.
Which is such a brilliant synthesis of everything we've talked about today.
It really is.
They are teaching a child how to yield a deadly weapon right next to teaching them how to show love with a pie. It demonstrates that domestic intimacy actually requires a baseline of physical trust.
Wow. Yeah.
Shared meals act as a vehicle for both passing down practical, life-saving skills and expressing deep affection. Whether it's making grandma's favorite dessert or cooking garlic pork chops to survive a critical mother-in-law, food is the currency that pays off the emotional debts of the household.
It really is. It patches up the cracks in the walls that the mortgage stress and the leaky shower heads create.
Beautifully said.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, we started with the physical perimeter, the deadbolts, the alarms, the muddy shoe prints of an intruder who just wanted some juice.
Just wanted some juice.
We moved inward to the failing infrastructure of fuse boxes and plumbing. We navigated the emotional minefields of strict parenting and generational regrets over part-time jobs. And we ended up in a cramped kitchen, finding peace over homemade cherry cake.
It is a remarkably complete portrait of the human habitat.
And it serves as a great reminder that while these transcripts were written just to teach someone how to conjugate verbs or learn vocabulary, they perfectly encapsulate a universal truth.
Which is
Daily life is an exercise in continuous, exhausting problem solving. But it's also incredibly resilient.
the fortress always requires maintenance, but it usually holds.
So we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. Imagine again those extraterrestrials from the beginning of the deep dive.
Right, our aliens.
If they only had these exact transcripts to study to understand human life, they'd conclude that our entire existence is a constant dramatic battle to secure our perimeters, fix our plumbing, and ensure our kids eat their vegetables without using a knife dangerously.
They wouldn't be completely wrong.
No, they wouldn't. Which leads to the question for you. What does the script of your everyday life say about your biggest priorities? What are the recurring crises in your own home, and how are you solving them?
Yeah, if someone read the transcript of your last week, what would they think you valued most?
Because at the end of the day, no matter how many motion detectors you put on the outside, the real work of keeping the fortress standing always happens on the inside. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.